You're listening to the No Bullshit Vegan Podcast, episode 225. Co-founder of Clean Food Dirty Girl, Molly Patrick, is here to talk about why batch cooking is such a game changer, how to approach plant-based eating without perfectionism, and the connection between mindset and lasting habit change.
Welcome to the No Bullshit Vegan Podcast. Myth-busting and evidence-based advice to help you kick butt with your health and fitness on a vegan diet. Here's your host, Karina Inkster.
Hey, welcome to the show. I'm Karina, your go-to no BS vegan fitness and nutrition coach. Thanks for tuning in. A huge thank you to everyone who's joined the brand new No BS Vegan Patreon already. Keeping this podcast independent and completely ad-free for well over 200 episodes has definitely been a labor of love, and your support really helps keep it going. If you'd like to check it out, get access to bonus mini episodes and behind-the-scenes content, and help support independent vegan media, you can head to patreon.com/nobsvegan. Thanks so much. My guest today is Molly Patrick. Molly, the co-founder of Clean Food Dirty Girl, is known for her candid and inclusive approach to all things plant-based. Under her leadership, Clean Food Dirty Girl has become a thriving business and global community, inspiring thousands to embrace plant-based eating on their terms. Raised on 5 acres in New Mexico, Molly's upbringing was anything but typical. Her family built their home by hand, living in a teepee while they constructed it with mud, straw, and rocks. With no electricity, indoor plumbing, or hot water, Molly learned early on to appreciate the simple things, work hard, and never take life too seriously. Molly is a lifelong vegetarian, vegan since 2010, and whole food plant-based since 2014. She's been alcohol and cigarette-free since June 14th, 2015. She currently lives on the beautiful island of Maui. Fun fact, Molly has never eaten meat in her life. And when I asked her what her favorite vegan meal is, she said, "There's no way I could pick just one. I'm constantly eating the most insanely delicious meals from our meal plans. My favorites from this particular week are butternut squash tacos with lemon tahini dressing and toasted coconut kale salad with tofu." Here's our conversation. Molly, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thanks for being here.
Hey there. Thanks for having me. I'm super stoked to talk with you.
I'm stoked as well. Can't wait to hear about all your work and what you do. But I always start with the vegan story. So how did you come to veganism? When, where, why? What's the deal?
I've never eaten meat my whole life. Never tried it ever. And so I was raised vegetarian, but I had a really hard time with dairy. So I just my body didn't like it, didn't want it. So I've been pretty much plant-based my whole life. But I went full on vegan in 2010 because I was working for a vegan company, and I was like, I don't want to not be totally vegan while working for this company. So I'm just going to try it. And I really only had to remove a couple of things from my diet to make that switch. And it was so easy, and it felt really good, and it felt really aligned. And I was like, well, why didn't I do that so long ago? So it was an easy thing, and just, not a far stretch from what I was already doing. So it's not like this huge light bulb moment or big transformation. It was pretty much that's what I've been doing my whole life. And it felt really good to take it that next step.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting because a lot of people do have those big moments and it feels like a 180 for them and they don't even know where to start and they're feeling overwhelmed. But for you, it just kind of seems like the next logical step.
Yes. Yeah. And then once I made that choice and made that next step, I started reading more about the dairy industry and watching, the documentaries that I had been avoiding watching. And I was like, okay, that really solidifies everything. I don't want to be a part of any of that. And so it was a very easy thing to just keep going with that.
That's really interesting because a lot of people see the documentaries and have that awakening first and then they change their behavior. But it's interesting how it actually kind of worked the other direction for you.
Yeah, it did, because I always thought okay, I'm already not eating meat. I'm already doing the things and I'm super like a lot of people, I'm really sensitive. I love animals. I was like, I don't, but then I realized okay, if I'm going to be helping people eat more plants, I really want to be, as knowledgeable about it as possible so that I can help other people, and understanding that most people don't have my story. Most people, it's like they really do have that huge transformation. There's going to be a lot of hurdles in the beginning. There's a lot of information. And so it was just more about like, arming myself with as much information as I could after I made that choice. So yeah, it is a little different.
That makes sense. That's cool though. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So your brand, Clean Food, Dirty Girl, tell me about the whole kind of umbrella. Like, what is the company? What do you do? And then I've got some more specific questions about the brand after that.
Yeah. So we help people eat more plants while celebrating human imperfection. So that's really our mission and our goal, and what I've been doing for 14 years, actually, with my business or with my company. It was really important to me when we started this to be really inclusive and to meet people where they're at, and have no expectations that people would know what they were doing or already on this path, or be required to, go into this perfectly, because most people don't, and we're human and we need support. And, it's funny, like I used to have this thing where I was not a good student in school, and I had this idea that I should know everything before I came to class. And so I would always like try to prep before going to class when I got to college. I didn't realize until years later, like, Molly, that's why you were in school, to learn. Like, you do this to learn. You shouldn't be expected to know all of this before you even step foot in the classroom. And so that was like a personal kind of thing for me. And I kind of applied that to the community and to this. Like, people don't know all of the things that I know. And so I really wanted to be inclusive, meet people where they're at, provide a really safe, non-judgmental space for people, and to dip their toe in if they want. Like, just eat more plants, start there, and then see what happens. So that's sort of like the mission and the vibe with all of this. And then through that, we have a lot of offers to support that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's perfect. That's just kind of like the general mission and what you guys do in your business, why it exists, So you're a certified life coach. So are you, as part of what you offer, working with folks on like habit change and implementing some of these things?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's why I kind of became a life coach, because I was providing, like, as a whole, me and my team were providing all of like, okay, go do this, make this recipe, follow this meal plan, literally put these things in the blender and make a like amazing smoothie, and that was great for a lot of people if they were ready to do that. But there were all these other people who like wanted to do that, but they couldn't really get there, even though they had like a step-by-step of how to do it. I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense though, right? Because humans are complicated and we can want one thing and then do a whole other thing. And it doesn't have to do with the actual like goal or the actual tool that they're using to get there. It's all about mindset. And so I was really fascinated with that. And I have a history of addiction myself. And I was really fascinated by my own problems with all of that. And so I wanted to be able to provide like not just a how to do something literally, but like, how do you actually get yourself on board to follow through with that?
Mm-hmm. That's super important. So that's actually like implementation, habit change, not just here's a PDF, see you later.
Yeah. Because that and it does work for some people. If they're ready, if they've done the work, like that's a great resource for people. But what I find is most people aren't there.
Right.
And this is why we have people who are like, oh, I really want to do this, but I find myself not doing this way, not cooking the food, not eating the food, and really stuck in these patterns and these habits, which are easy to get looped into just because of, like the overly processed food and all of these things that provide so much dopamine in your brain and really keep you stuck in a loop. It can be hard to get out of. And so here's the work you need to do. And then here's like the actual recipe to follow. Like, let's, that's there for you when you're ready for it.
Right. That makes sense. Okay. So hear me out here for a sec. It might sound a bit weird at first, but I swear I'm not like trying to nitpick your business. I'm really not.
Okay.
But the first thing that came to my mind was I don't use terms like clean eating because I feel, or clean food for that matter, because I feel like the language can unintentionally moralize food, right? And I know that's not what you're doing. Like if a salad is clean, then what's a cookie? Is it dirty? Is it bad? Is it a moral failure? And so, especially because we work with a lot of folks who are coming from years of dieting, not in a healthy way, sometimes there's guilt involved. But I feel the sense I get is your brand is also kind of poking fun at the whole purity culture thing, because you just mentioned celebrating human imperfection.
Yeah.
Right. And so, some of the healthiest people I know will eat tofu and frozen berries and beans and also donuts. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your kind of take on the meaning of your brand or the words that you use?
It's a brand that doesn't take itself seriously. like we take
Which
our
I
mission
love.
seriously, but like we don't take ourselves that seriously. And I think, that stems from like my personal belief. Like I don't want friends who are really, really buttoned up and like can't take a piss. Right. Like
Right.
I'm very much
Same.
about celebrating imperfection and like laughing at yourself and not being perfect and realizing that imperfection is a farce and all of this. And so the name was really like, it was sort of making fun of myself. And with this brand, it's like one of our goals to not label food as good or bad, not label food as clean or dirty, not label food as like morally better, this way is morally better than the other way, because I don't believe any of that. And so many people who are in this space and who are following this way of eating come into it with this very rigid idea of like, well, this is good. This is bad.
Exactly.
This is on the protocol. And I'm like, oh my God, take protocol out of anything you're doing, especially your food. And really this belief that like, you shouldn't be enjoying your food. Food is not something that should be counted or numbered or, put in this category of like, well, I need it just to survive. Like, so the whole messaging is exactly opposite of that. And the name, I liked the name because it kind of poked fun a little bit. And it was also this thing where I wanted to see what people did with it, because I've had people who, like you, they're like, well, I don't really like that because clean food, I'm not Gwyneth Paltrow and I don't like that clean food stuff. But there's other people that are like, oh yeah, that makes really, really a lot of sense, because it's like healthy, but also you get food from like the garden. And so you become dirty when you get food. So it's like, I think with anything, it is what you make it, and I'm a big believer in that. Like things are very neutral in the world, and including food, and you do what you will with it. You make it what it is to you personally. So we're definitely not serious about it. And I can see how you can take it that way. But if you scratch the surface a little bit, you'll see that it's like kind of the exact opposite.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's the sense I get from what you've got on your website and your socials. And, it's maybe just it's flagged because we do so much work trying to dismantle diet culture, which is actually what you're doing too. You're in that space.
Yeah.
And so things like that are just like, oh, what's going on here?
Yes. I've had this brand for 14 years, and I have thought about changing the name. Like years into it, I was like, because people either love the name or they hate the name. And there's a lot of people who hate the name. There's a lot of people who love the name. And I had thought about changing it, but then I was like, like that is going to take so long because I've been here for so long. And I'm like, and at the end of the day, like it is what it is. People can get pissed off about it. That's okay. You can't serve everyone. And if people do take the time to just look a little bit deeper, they'll see that it's, and for some people, when they read the messaging around it, they're like, oh, well, that's not for me. Like I don't want to be a part of a community who like openly curses all the time, or who doesn't take themselves seriously, or who has no problem talking about farting and pooping, and who, so, you'll find your people, but
absolutely.
Yeah. But a name does say a lot. So it's totally a valid point.
No, I hear you on that. I mean, I've been around with my business for 15 years, so it's about the same kind of thing. And, way down the road, you're like, well, I could have done A, B, and C, or, oh, maybe I should have chosen blah, blah, blah. But at a certain point, it kind of feels too late, and it doesn't feel worth the effort. And it's not really about the name anyways. It's about the work we're doing. So
it's true. Yeah, that's totally it. Because it's like, well, I could take that energy and use those resources and use my team's time to do this, or we could just keep helping people eat more plants, which is what we're all about anyway, and leave it at that,
Totally. I've thought about that with the podcast. It has been around for 8 years, and 8 years ago, when I named it No Bullshit Vegan, it was cool to have swear words and everything. And it still kind of is to a point, but not really. Like the subtle art of not giving a fuck, that book. It's not really the case anymore. And so, I've considered, I don't know, maybe it should be called the No BS Vegan or something. But honestly, we have more important things to put our energy toward. So it's not even on the radar at this point.
Yes, exactly. We need all the plant-based leaders to do their thing. And again, it's not like, and I tell people who are starting businesses, I'm like, really spend like, this much time on a name, like just choose something and go with it and then do the work.
Exactly.
And then help the people. Yeah. Like I promise you're going to get way more out of it, and people will get way more out of it than fussing around about a name. Cause too, I mean, I think this is kind of like not for my case or your case, but I think a lot of people spend so much time on things like that because then it doesn't require them to like do the work of like, creating content and getting their name out there. And also, getting feedback that may not be so nice to hear. Right. It's like, it's tough.
It's a form of procrastination sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can definitely be. So
yeah, that's a good point. So the message is just choose something and go with it and do the work.
Yeah. And if you get shit for it later, that's okay.
Yeah, totally. Okay. So let's talk about the health aspect. So I think in the vegan world, in the plant-based world, veganism and health get conflated a lot. Mm-hmm. So sure, we both operate in the health sphere in some capacity, right? Like my team and I work with folks on strength training and nutrition. So I'm in the health sphere, but I'm not vegan for health reasons. Mm-hmm. I went vegan for ethical reasons, and I really make it clear that those are separate. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of folks come to veganism for health reasons, which is perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. We don't really care why people go to plant-based diets. I feel like down the road, a lot of folks then look into the ethics and they start watching the documentaries like you did. And anyway, so where are you and the people you work with on that kind of spectrum, right? Because you work with a lot of folks who want to affect body composition, and so do we, of course, which could be seen as a health thing, right? Like weight loss, building muscle. But where on that kind of scale is your work?
It's wherever it needs to be to help the person who I'm helping. Mm-hmm. We see people come to us mainly for health reasons because their doctor is like, whoa, you need to get this into check. It's time that you taper off from this. And that is like the entry point for most of these people. Mm-hmm. What I have found is that when that initial motivation wears off for the health reasons, it's really effective for them to learn about the ethical reasons.
100%.
Because we'll throw ourselves under the bus, right? Like we can be so self-destructive. It's hard to keep doing the things that are good for us. I find that once people learn about what, the reality of the meat and dairy industry is, that really solidifies their choice to keep doing this for whatever reason. So it can, so for most people, that's like the trajectory that we see in our business.
That makes sense.
What is healthy for us is healthy for the animals, is healthy for the planet, is healthy. Like it's so much of a win in so many areas. I talk more about health because that's the entry point, but I am not shy to talk about the other stuff as well. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's like whatever gets somebody in the door and keeps them there in a way that feels good, in a way that feels abundant and expansive, and not like doing something out of fear or because they should be doing it.
Interesting. Okay, so this is cool because it's a slightly different trajectory, right? So a lot of these folks have been told, oh, you need to work on getting off your meds, or you need to change your diet, or something that's very like lifestyle habit related. And then, of course, you're helping them implement those things. So I would assume that a lot of these people are new to plant-based eating, and you're helping them on that journey, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people are very new and not quite sure that they want to do it fully and want the results, but don't want to get out of their comfort zone.
Right. Yeah.
And so much of this is like the identity, this identity that they have for themselves is rooted in like this way of eating. And most of these people's like families are not on board, or friends aren't on board, and they're really feeling like alone or doing this. And so that's where we kind of step in and be like, okay, let's unpack this and talk about this and provide support, and also just community, because it's like, yeah, you might be the only one in your family or your job that's eating like this, but like, here's this community of like thousands of people who are like the only ones in their community. Let's get together and talk about it and support each other.
Definitely. Yeah. Yes. That's huge. That's really interesting because in our business, folks are coming usually because they've been told something similar about strength training. Mm-hmm. So we work a lot with folks who are over 55 and a lot of them have osteoporosis diagnoses. And then they're like, oh shit, guess I got to start lifting heavy things. And they are already vegan. So they're specifically looking for coaches who aren't going to yell at them to like have whey protein and eat their chicken breast and blah, blah, blah. Right. That's not to say that some folks we work with are new to veganism, but it's kind of an interesting difference in trajectory, right? In like where people are at currently when they come to us. It's kind of cool. It's just interesting to see the differences and how many vegan businesses there are now, and that there's a niche for everything within veganism, which is super cool.
Yeah. It's like a niche of a niche of a niche. And that's awesome though, because I mean, there's so many in the training world. It's so hard to find. I mean, from what I've found, it's so hard to find trainers who really aren't pushing meat. And so, you know, there was a gym. I lived in Oakland for a long time. And there was a CrossFit gym who wouldn't let you join if you were vegan.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah. I don't know if they're still around, but I was like looking at their website. I was like, okay. And they're like, vegans need not apply, or vegan, you know, because we do not believe in that. I was
ridiculous.
Like, wow, okay.
Wow. I've never seen that. I've never seen that go that far.
Yeah. They were serious about
That's
it.
A whole other level.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well,
It is.
they're
And
not around
like,
anymore.
my trainer is, you know, far from plant-based, but like we just will agree to disagree, you know.
Right.
And
Fair.
she's a good trainer, you know. I've learned a ton from her. You know, I really like her, and she respects what I'm doing, but she doesn't agree with it. So I think for so many people, and it makes sense, and the people who are already vegan, who are already plant-based, who find a trainer who's like on board with it, that's like such a huge hurdle that they don't have to like they don't have to defend themselves and feel like they have to explain themselves. And that's huge.
It's more of an alignment thing. It's not like, yes, they learn how to eat in a way that supports their training. That might be new to them, but you know, they're not trying to convince us because we're already all on the same page.
Right. We're on board. Yeah.
So you mentioned that for weight loss specifically, which a lot of folks are working on, of course, plant-based eating is way more sustainable than trendy things that might come along like keto or paleo or what have you. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. Well, it's all rooted in eating, and it's all rooted in like eating until you're satisfied and feeling really, really good, and eating like a huge wide range of foods. It's not about like what you can't have. Yes, there are certain things that you're going to be avoiding, but the amount of food that you're going to eat, like it's all about filling yourself up and feeling good. And just the nature of this way of eating, you can do that and lose weight. And you will never feel like deprived or like you're hungry or you're missing out. And so that's why it becomes like this lifestyle. And it's not like when people do this, they're like, oh, this can just be my life. It's not something that I have to start and stop. And for people who have been, you know, we have many people who have tried every diet under the sun. So many people in my weight loss program, like they've been on diet since they were 10. Like their mothers were bringing them to Weight Watchers when they were little. And so it's such a like part of them focusing on eating and having that and nourishment and nutrition. Like it's such a head spin for them, you know. And it's also like celebrating your body, celebrating how we are built, like celebrating our hunger, not having our hunger be something we fight or that there's something wrong with us, but like understanding our body, understanding like your specific body, because we're all unique and we're all different. And so it's from such a different place than dieting, whereas dieting is so, you know, it's really shame-based and it's rooted in deprivation, and it's rooted in like not being good enough and the normal like standard of beauty norms that we see in society that are fed to us. And so this is like the exact opposite of that.
That's awesome. I think your point of abundance is very, very important because people who aren't yet vegan often have this idea that it's about what they can't eat. Oh, I can't have ice cream anymore. Oh, dang, I can't eat burgers. Crap, I can't eat cheese anymore. It's all about avoidance.
Yeah.
But like half the stuff I eat now wasn't on the menu before I went vegan. There's so many new foods, so many new ways to pack your plate full of plant-based deliciousness.
Yeah.
So I think that abundance factor, not just in food, but also with fitness and, you know, lifestyle habits, it's super important. And it's definitely like the background mindset, I think, that's going to be a game changer for people.
Exactly. I mean, if people are willing to see that, and if people are willing to not be miserable, because I think there's so many people who are just used to like, okay, if I'm miserable, then it must be working.
Interesting.
If I'm feeling shame and if I'm not feeling good and if I'm feeling like this sucks, then I'm on the right track. And that's a big one. Like I wasn't expecting that so much before I started this particular program that I run. I was like, wow, okay, this is like so fascinating. You know, how can you approach this in a way where it's like you're giving yourself permission to be joyful, right? And you're allowing yourself to come from this, you know, come at this from abundance instead of lack. And for some people, they have a really hard time getting there because they have this idea that they're not worthy. And that is like a lot of like unfucking of the brain.
Yes.
You know, I mean, and so you look at that and you're like, well, no wonder the recipe for how to cook something healthy wasn't being followed. If somebody thinks that they're not worthy of feeling good and feeling healthy, then they're never going to, you know, that resource isn't going to matter.
So where does that come from? I mean, I think on a societal systemic level, we're fed a lot of bullshit about what we should eat and how much and what we should look like and what our priorities should be, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. From all of that.
Like,
and for
where
most
does all this
people,
shit come from?
It comes from what I've seen in my practice is a lot of it comes from people's parents, people's moms. And it's like from the time they're little.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned people being 10 and, you know, being put on diet plans.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the cabbage soup diet and Weight Watchers and all this stuff, little kids, you know? And so I think a lot of it stems from the family and the parents. And then from there, it's like the perfect gateway into the society that we live in and people being shamed for not looking a certain way and just the diet culture in general. And then the media and then everything out there. It's like to not be affected by that, especially for women, you can't really escape that, you know, especially if you come from a family that's really rooted in like, you need to look a certain way, even when you're 10, or else like you're a piece of shit, you know, it's just, it's heartbreaking. It's
pretty intense. I mean, we could do a whole episode just on the background of that and how to start chipping away at it.
Yeah.
Okay. So where are you at? Like in kind of logistic living arrangements, do you have a partner? Are they vegan too? Like I work with a lot of people who, like you said at the beginning, don't know any other vegans, including their spouse. What's your situation?
So yeah, I do have a partner and she eats pretty much what I eat.
Okay. Well, that's easy.
Before I met her, like she's French. And so French people in general eat a lot better than Americans, but there is this like idea of a really good meal should have like some animal protein in it, right? So her ex was vegan.
Okay.
And so she was already very used to that. And so she had eaten vegan for a long time with her ex, but never really like did it in a balanced way. Like there was a lot of like really overly processed food. And so she didn't feel really good eating that way. And so when she met me, and I cook all the time and I make it, you know, really balanced and focus on whole foods. And she's like, oh, like I feel really, really good. And then the more she was with me, the more she's like, okay, I just can't eat fish anymore. Like I cannot eat an octopus anymore. Like I can't, because she started kind of learning, you know, through me. And so she's at the point where she's like, yeah, I'm good with plants, you know? And
amazing.
So once in a while she might have something, but it's like really, really rare, if ever, these days.
That's awesome. And so I'm going to assume that this was just like a natural process and not you sitting there like lecturing her on, here's why you should go vegan immediately, because that shit does not work.
That shit doesn't work. No, that shit doesn't work. And in fact, if you respect the person sitting next to you, regardless of what they're eating, and you're more of like a resource for them if they want it, I found that has so much more influence and so much more effective than being like, well, you're a piece of shit for eating this and this is why, and this is what you should be doing. Like, I don't know best for people. I know it's best for me. Right. And I think the world would be a better place if like we didn't eat animals. But like, if I approach it like that, people are just not even going to be open to it. They're, you know, and so I've always had a very inclusive, non-judgmental approach. And if I ever feel that judgment coming up, I'm like, you know, because I'm human, right? I'm like, Molly, let's focus on like what you're doing and let's focus on like how you can contribute. You know, like I have a nephew who has so many health issues, and I've really tried to help him and, buy him an Instant Pot and give him, I don't coach my family. I would love to be able to coach him, but it's like a line that I draw. But I'm like, I have a thought that like he should really be eating better, and I have to catch myself like, but he's not there right now, and he knows where to come when he's ready, and I get to love him anyways, so much of it is just what we're thinking of people. Yeah, I just try to send everybody love and respect for where they're at, and know that like if and when they're ready, they know where to come.
That's amazing. I think more vegans should follow that exact model. And I understand, like, I feel like newer vegans are very caught up in some of the negativity and the like, oh my God, why isn't everyone vegan? And no one gets it. And, I understand. I mean, I've been there, right? As a new vegan, that was me for a couple years at least. So I get that. But if you look at how you're presenting the message and where that other person is at, there's a mismatch and it doesn't work. I've mentioned this multiple times on the show, but for folks who haven't heard, it took my husband 10 years of being with me. We've been together 20 years now to decide to go vegan on his own, completely on his own. Like, you know what? It's time. I'm going to do this thing. Has he been eating vegan food the whole time? Obviously. He actually does most of the cooking now at this point, but he never called himself vegan. He does now though. And he had to come to that decision on his own, in his own time, when it felt comfortable for him, and not because I was sitting there poking him for 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. And I know like from my own struggle with like alcohol, there were people who wanted me to quit and to drink less and to do this, but like, I'm not going to do it because somebody wants me to do it.
Exactly.
Like, and if I do, it's for the wrong reasons, and it is not going to stick.
Right.
Because it's going to be outside of my internal desire for what I want for myself.
Right.
And so we can force things on people all day long. And if people do make a change out of like being forced by somebody, I will tell you that it's not going to last.
I agree.
They might do it for a little while, and who knows, maybe I'll get lucky and be like, okay, well, I actually do feel better this way. But there's going to be so much resentment tied up with that oftentimes when people feel that resentment, they're going to do the exact opposite thing. Exactly. Just because screw you, and so it's not an effective approach, whether you're like a coach or a business or a partner or a parent. I see it time and time again. And so many people in our community is like, hey, like I had tried this so many times before, but people were just mean and had this, they were mean to me about it. And so I, for the next 5 years, ate a carnivore diet, and it's like, now I'm coming back and knowing that like, okay, I can eat mostly plants, and once in a while, if I have chicken, like it's going to be okay. And I can be honest with you about it, and you're not going to judge me or shame me for it. That's why I'm eating more plants. And so I think, if there could be that shift, it would be really like amazing for the whole movement.
Absolutely agreed.
Yeah.
Can I ask you what happened to bring you to the decision to deal with the alcohol challenge? Oh,
yeah. I reached the point where I just felt like really, really weak, and not so much in my body, yes, but like spiritually, I was having a really hard time, like just dealing with reality. And if things were going okay, then it was okay. But the moment something kind of like, if there was a problem with like somebody in my family, or if there was a, something that just, gets thrown at you as life does, I just got to the point where I'm like, I won't be able to handle this. And I also knew that if I kept going down this road, like I was going to die. And so I felt like I was digging my own grave and feeling really, really bad physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally in the process. And so I knew that I had like, okay, I have a choice here. I have a choice, and I have some power in this. And if I keep doing what I'm doing, then I can never complain about the consequences of that because I am choosing this. And so if I am prepared to not complain about the consequences, then I will give myself a pass to keep going. And I was like, I don't want to be okay with the consequences of these actions. And I thought, and over here, I don't know what's over here, and I'm terrified, but like, I want to find out. And so I just had a reckoning with myself. Okay, enough. And so I made the decision. I mean, I had tried to quit multiple times before I finally did, but I would always tell myself that like, I'm going to quit for 3 months. I'm just going to quit for 2 weeks. I'm going to quit for like the summer. And I was always very vague with it. And then there was so much room for just my mind to negotiate. So when I was finally ready, I was like really, really ready to look at it and then accept that like it's really going to suck and it's really going to be hard, but it's going to be worth it because like I don't want to die young and I don't want the consequences of this anymore. And I had a lot to live for, and I knew I had so much potential that I just wasn't bringing to the table. And I did not like who I had become. And so I made the decision to go a different way.
Wow. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, Molly. That's super powerful. How long has it been for you?
10 years last year. So it'll be
dang,
11
whole
years.
decade.
Yeah, whole decade.
Congrats.
It'll be 11
That's huge.
years on June 14th, actually.
Oh, that's coming up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Day after my birthday.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah.
Well, I asked for two main reasons. One is because I think a lot of listeners are going to connect to the general feel and the general story, not necessarily alcohol specifically, but you said, if I keep doing what I'm doing, I can't complain about the consequences.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people will connect with that on various different levels. It doesn't have to be even addiction. It doesn't have to be alcohol specifically. But I just kind of had a feeling that there was some like connection point outside of alcohol specifically. And I'm sure people are going to connect with that. And the other reason is just personally, I chose to stop alcohol consumption in 2011, but not because I had a negative relationship with it. And so it's just not for me. You know, I'd rather have dark chocolate for my treat calories, honestly. You know, I'm a total lightweight. I used to be on anti-anxiety meds and you're not supposed to have alcohol. Anyways, but the interesting thing for me is that when people ask, like, why don't you drink? Or why aren't you having a drink or whatever? The assumption is always that there's a background problem drinking past, you know?
Yeah.
And of course, that's the case for a lot of humans. Like, you know, you've just shared your story here, but it's just interesting that that's the immediate assumption. And it's almost like that's the only legit reason someone can have for not drinking, you know? Obviously it's not.
Yeah, that is super interesting. And yeah. And as far as like the bit about I can't complain about this anymore, that was a pretty big girl moment for me.
Yeah, for sure.
That was a moment where I'm like, this really stings. You have to get really honest with yourself. And that's, and you're right. I mean, people can look at that in many different scenarios, whether it's like not taking care of your body. There's so many different ways we can do that. So it does require, you know, some bravery and some strength to do it. But I think that for most people, when they get to that point, it's harder to go on than it is to quit. And that's just how it was for me. Yeah. And I think that there's more and more of a movement of not drinking now. Like,
exactly.
I know in Paris, there's so many awesome, you know, no alcohol bars and like water bars now, like different types of waters and stuff. I think that is gaining more momentum. And I think in general, people are drinking less than they were a decade ago. You know, I think it's a good trend, but I think you're right. I mean, most people do assume, oh, there must be a problem why this person's drinking, because it is really common for, you know, people to have a drink, and some people can do fine with that and some people just can't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you sharing, Molly.
Yeah, of course.
Super, super powerful. And there's one more thing that I wanted to touch on before we go into some of your offerings.
Okay.
And that is batch cooking.
Ah, yes.
You mentioned an Instant Pot earlier. We have one, and the only thing we ever make in it is split pea soup. So we just call it the split pea soup machine. But what's the deal with batch cooking? I feel like for me, I work at home. I can just like stroll into the kitchen and make food if I want. But even then, I'm kind of screwed if I don't do my batch cooking, because I always have other stuff to do, or I'm in a meeting. Like today I have 7 meetings back to back. Where am I going to cook in that time?
It's so true.
What's your take on batch cooking?
Yeah. Well, I actually started doing it when Clean Food Dirty Girl first started to gain some momentum. And at the time it was my ex, because I started this company with my ex. And so it was the two of us, and we were doing everything, and we were finally starting to like grow and make some money. And I was so busy. I mean, I would wake up at like 6 a.m. and I wouldn't go to bed till 10. And I was just working the whole time, and to the point where I eventually became like really burnt out. But batch cooking was the only way I could eat healthy. And I'm like, okay, I'm promoting like this healthy eating. Like I have to do this myself too. And I want to do it myself. And so if I didn't batch cook on Saturday or Sunday, I wasn't going to be able to eat as healthy. I just couldn't. So that was it for me. It started as just purely a time management tool. And it wasn't anything that I was offering to our community. I was just doing it for myself because it was so important for me to do it so that I could eat like not only healthy, but fast meals throughout the week. Like I don't like to spend more than 10 minutes putting a meal together. And if I batch cook, like that's really the only way I can do it. If I don't batch cook, I'm going to spend longer in the kitchen. And even if I did have the time, there's other things I want to do. Yeah. It just made sense for me to do it as like managing my time well and eating healthy. And then eventually that became a resource that we offered people because people wanted to know what I was eating. I was like, oh, well, I can give you my grocery list and my batch cooking list if you want. And people were like, yes, we want it. I'm like, oh, well, this can be an offer then. And so that was like our first offer that really took off. I mean, we were really busy before we were making money just because we were building the community and trying a bunch of things. But the most amazing thing, batch cooking. I think everybody would be better off if they did it.
I agree. I mean, I don't feel like there's a one size fits all approach. Some people use cooking to de-stress after the workday and they enjoy doing it on a daily basis and they go grocery shopping 4 times a week and that's cool. But I feel like for most humans, on some level, pre-prepping some stuff, even if it's just work snacks or just your lunches or something. Yeah. It's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah. Or even like washing your produce when you get home from the store.
Right. Good point.
I get home from the market and I wash everything. I put all of my leafy greens like in my sink. I give them like a nice bath. I put them in the salad spinner. I put them in a big container. Then I can just, literally go in my fridge, grab a handful of greens and add it to whatever. So there's various ways to do it. I mean, washing your produce is one, or like you said, like just work snacks or making a big pot of soup and a big, pot of rice. So at least you have something, right? And there's various levels of it. Like we offer meal plans where we are like, you can make these 5 meals, batch cook this, here's the grocery list, here's how to put them together so that like all of your meals are taken care of. But there is no one size fits all with this. The most important thing is like, if you want to eat healthier and if you want to do it in a way that's relatively easy, front loading some of that stuff is really key.
Absolutely. So you've got a couple things going on. Well, you have a lot of things going on. A couple things I wanted to highlight though. Meal Plan Club and your masterclass. Yeah. Can you tell me about those two?
Yeah. So Meal Plan Club, this was our like first offer that really took off. It's come a long way from the beginning days. We offered just like a PDF and people could download it and print it. And that was really good. That worked for a long time, but then people wanted more functionality. So we kind of built on that. And because there was a lot of people joining, we had the funds to invest back into the business and to make it even better and to implement the changes that our community was wanting. Like we are really focused on our community. Our community is what guides us with all of our programs and all of our resources because we just, you want this? Yeah, that's a good idea. We take it directly from them. And so with Meal Plan Club, it's like a monthly membership. You sign up and then you get access to this portal that we have created actually. And we have over 500 meal plans. We have over 5,000 whole food plant-based recipes that me and my team have created. Mm-hmm. And this is all very human. We don't do like AI stuff. We're really just like AI to me and to the team is, that's a whole other bag of worms, but we don't rely on it. Let me just tell you that. Like it's a very human approach. Yeah. And every one of our recipes and meal plans are taste tested and approved. So we know that people are really, the flavor is like spot on. So we have that. And then I have a masterclass and that masterclass leads into Drop It Club, which is our plant-powered weight loss program. And so we open that seasonally. So we open it 4 times a year for enrollment. And that masterclass is just a series of videos talking basically about like the biology of why, humans are how we are. Like we are meant to, we are designed to store excess calories as a survival mechanism. So if you are storing excess calories, like that's your body working, not a reason to think that, you're doomed, right? So I kind of break all of that down and the masterclass is free. And then once people do that, they will get an email when we open registration for the Drop It program. And then we have a really awesome circle community for that. And I do live coaching and we offer recipes and, all of those things, but it's more focused on the mindset.
That's awesome. And I love your focus on community. I think that's so important. And this is why AI is never going to take over what we do because we're human to human. coach interactions, community builders, etc. And so what you're doing, I think, is not at risk of being taken over by AI. Not that we're really that worried about it, but you mentioned AI and you don't use it in your business. And I feel the same in like, well, what's the point? If you can get ChatGPT to do it, then just do that if that works for you.
Yeah, it's true. The community aspect is such a huge part of this, just for all the reasons that we discussed. And really, I mean, I think that people now, they're beginning to understand like, oh, that's AI, but this I am actually connecting with because a human wrote it. Like, even if they don't know, I think that humans have the sense of like, this came from a human. I mean, AI can be really convincing and really good sometimes. But I think just because we're getting so much more saturated with it, I think that people are finally seeing it and actually really wanting that human connection and really wanting, you know, to connect with somebody authentically and humanly. And so I think that we're safe as well.
Totally.
And I'm so glad that I have spent the last 14 years focused on community because like as a business, we've gone through a lot of ups and downs, like COVID, for example.
Sure.
And just, you know, the economy right now and layoffs and just the hot mess that we're in right now. And I'm like, man, if I wasn't so focused on community, I don't know that I would have a business because there's people who are like, they will never cancel their membership because they're so connected to the brand, connected to the community. And we're not an option on a list. Like we actually have a pulse. And so
that's a good point.
For anybody starting a business, you know, my advice is like, make it real and build a community, connect with your community. And also you get so much great feedback and some of it sucks. Like there's been plenty, like I've launched things that have been such a flop and people did not like it. And they were really, really sure to let me know. And there's been other things that have been great. But if you can get that feedback, like that's going to help so much shape your business and how well you do.
Exactly. That's such a good point. It's a win-win all around.
Yes.
Well, Molly, thank you so much for speaking with me. We're going to have show notes, of course, as usual, for folks to check out your website and connect with you on social. Is there anything you want to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, I would just say, you know, lean into your imperfection, have it be an asset and not a liability. Nobody is perfect. And, you know, just make sure you're enjoying your life. I think that so many people in this space can get wrapped up in doing it perfectly that they kind of miss the point of living a joyful life. And so go out there and explore and do the best you can and do this in a way that feels good. If it's not feeling good, then tweak it until it does. Because life is too short to like, you know, have anxiety over what you eat because we have to eat like 3 times a day. So if there is stress and tension and anxiety and all of that within what you're doing 3 times a day, like take a step back and see what you can do to bring in some joy and to bring in some lightness and to kind of ease up a little bit and lean into that imperfection. I think that's a really important message right now.
Absolutely. Well said. It reminds me, I don't know whose it is, but it reminds me of the saying that goes something like, some food nourishes our body and some food nourishes our soul. And I think there's overlap. Sometimes it's both. And I think to your point of enjoyment and abundance, that's super empowering. And that's going to lead to lasting change, which is important.
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you so much, Molly. So great to speak with you.
Yeah, so nice to be here today. Thanks so much for having me.
Molly, thank you for the great conversation. Head to our show notes at nobullshitvegan.com/225 to connect with Molly and learn more about her meal plan club. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for listening to the No Bullshit Vegan podcast at nobullshitvegan.com.